Prime Minister Narendra Modi has inaugurated the 18th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas convention in Odisha. PM Modi arrived in Bhubaneswar on Wednesday, where he was welcomed by Chief Minister Mohan Charan Majhi and Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan at the airport. The Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is being organized by the centre in collaboration with the Odisha state government from the 8th of January to the 10th of January.
It is a time for vibrant festivals. We have gathered here just a few days after the birth centenary of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. His vision was instrumental to this program. It has become an institution to strengthen the bond between India and its diaspora.
Multiple wildfires are consuming acre after acre and building after building in the Los Angeles area, displacing tens of thousands of people and ravaging entire neighborhoods. This, as strong winds and a dwindling water supply stymied firefighters' efforts to stop the destruction. More than 1,000 structures have been burned, making it the most destructive in Los Angeles history. According to CAL FIRE, the state fire agency, it is also among the top 20 most destructive fires ever in California. Now, this is based on the number of structures that have been destroyed so far. The toll of the quick-moving wildfires was only beginning to take shape. 5 people have died. Nicole Nishida, a spokeswoman for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, confirmed.
Right now are the extreme winds, the Santa Ana winds. They're at 100 miles an hour, they're gusting to 100 miles an hour. And this is just making the fire spread too quickly to fight in most cases. That's why it's so hard to contain. Then you toss that on, if you had just those winds and a normal wet season in the winter in California, you wouldn't have anything like this. But right now, California is seeing one of its driest winters, and it's not just a dry winter, it's a dry, hot winter.
Wildfires that ripped through the Pacific Palisades neighborhood of Los Angeles forced many Hollywood stars, including Mark Hamill, Mandy Moore, and James Woods, to evacuate their homes. Meanwhile, James Lee Curtis said on Instagram that her family is safe, but she suggested her neighborhood and possibly her home is on fire. She said many of her friends lost their homes. Other stars who have homes in the area include Adam Sandler, Ben Affleck, Tom Hanks, and even Steven Spielberg. Many are awaiting word on whether their home survived the flames. Mandy Moore said her family evacuated too and has since tried to shield her kids from the quote-unquote immense sadness and worry that she currently feels. Meanwhile, Los Angeles fire hydrants ran dry as demand soared for water to quell wildfires that broke out across the country. For roughly 15 hours in California, water systems faced 4 times more than normal demand. Now, this lowered water pressure and caused some fire hydrants to even run dry, according to officials from the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump is in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, where he took the opportunity to criticize Governor Gavin Newsom for the lack of water, blaming him for the dry fire hydrants. Listen in.
The biggest homes, some of the most valuable homes in the world are just destroyed. I don't even know, you talk about a tax base. If those people leave, you're going to lose half your tax base of California. This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration. They don't have any water. They didn't have water in the fire hydrants. They don't have water. And yet they have, the water comes from, you know where? Up north.
According to reports, a total of 1,095 aftershocks had been recorded as of 8 a.m. Thursday local time after a 6.8 magnitude earthquake jolted Tibet on Tuesday morning. Now, the powerful quake struck at a depth of 10 kilometers. The disaster has claimed at least 126 lives, injured at least 188 others, and caused the collapse of more than 3,600 houses as of Tuesday night. Aftershocks include 804 below magnitude 2.0, 258 between magnitudes 2.0 and 2.9, and 29 between magnitudes 3.0 and 3.9. That's not it. There were 4 between magnitudes 4.0 and 4.9. The strongest so far measured 4.4 in magnitude, occurring some 18 kilometers from the epicenter of the main quake. Now, the epicenter, located in Sogo Township, is home to approximately 6,900 people across 27 villages within a 20-kilometer radius. Dingri County, situated on the northern slope of the Himalayas, borders Nepal to the south and lies near the northern base camp of Mount Kumlonga, the world's highest peak. In an unusual move, US President-elect Donald Trump has asked the Supreme Court to call off Friday's sentencing in his hush money case in New York. Trump's lawyers turned to the nation's highest court after New York courts refused to postpone the sentencing by Judge Juan M. Merchan, who presided over Trump's trial and conviction last May on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Trump has denied wrongdoing. His team sought an immediate stay of the scheduled sentencing, saying it would wrongly restrict him as he prepares to assume office on the 20th this month. While the judge has indicated he will not impose jail time, fines or probation, Trump's lawyers argued a felony conviction would still have intolerable side effects. The U.S. Justice Department has said that it intends to release special counsel Jack Smith's finding on Donald Trump's efforts to undo the results of the 2020 presidential election, but will keep under wraps for now. The rest of the report focused on the president-elect's hoarding of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate. The revelation was made in a filing to a federal appeals court that was considering a defense request to block the release of the 2-volume report while charges remain pending against 2 Trump co-defendants in the Florida case, accusing the Republican former Prime Minister, former President, and current President-elect of illegally holding classified documents. Greenland may become independent if its residents want, but is unlikely to become a U.S. state, Denmark's foreign minister said on Wednesday after U.S. President-elect Donald Trump refused to rule out force to take control of the Arctic island. Greenland's leader met with the Danish king in Copenhagen on Wednesday, one day after Trump's remarks thrust the fate of the mineral-rich land and strategically important island, which is under Danish rule, to the top of world headlines. Trump, who takes office on the 20th of January, said on Tuesday he would not rule out using military or economic action to make Greenland part of the United States. The same day, Trump's eldest son, Donald Trump Jr., made a private visit to the island. According to a Bloomberg report, President Joe Biden's administration plans one additional round of restrictions on the export of artificial intelligence chips from the likes of NVIDIA Corp, just days before leaving office, a final push in his effort to keep advanced technologies out of the hands of China and Russia. The U.S. wants to curb the sale of AI chips used in data centers on both a country and a company basis, with the goal of concentrating AI development in friendly nations and getting businesses around the world to align with American standards.
We're not giving up on that.
LeBlanc has decided not to run for the leadership of the Liberal Party, saying he needs to focus on countering the threat of tariffs from Donald Trump's administration. LeBlanc said he is grateful for the expressions of support from Liberal lawmakers and members across the country, but won't be a candidate in the upcoming race. The UK is braced for an icy blast with temperatures set to plummet as low as minus 16 degrees as fresh amber snow warning has been issued. Snow and sleet began to hit southern England on Wednesday afternoon. Now this as the amber alert came into force, with the Met Office saying further warnings are likely to be issued as the week goes on. The Met Office has warned of travel disruption caused by the snow and has said some vehicles and passengers could become stranded. UK PM Keir Starmer and Kemi Badenoch clashed over whether there should be a national inquiry into child sexual abuse by Pakistani grooming gangs. The Prime Minister says there are mixed views amongst victims, but further inquiries, and what we need now is action. Rather than another inquiry, but a quote-unquote world-first sanctions regime which specially targets people smugglers will be introduced by the government this year. The UK is expected to announce. The Foreign Secretary will confirm the measure in a speech today, saying it is part of Labour's plan to reduce channel crossings by targeting criminal networks organising these journeys. Here's what Starmer had to say.
This morning I met some of the victims and survivors of this scandal, and they were clear with me that they want action now, not the delay of a further inquiry. The J inquiry, the last national inquiry, was 7 years, which would take us with a further inquiry to 2031. I think action is what's required. Mr. Speaker, this is an important issue, and we have to focus on the victims and survivors, and it isn't helpful. This sort of lies and misinformation and slinging of mud doesn't help them one bit. Doesn't help one bit.
The UK government said on Wednesday that Britain will create a new sanction regime to target the ringleaders of illegal migration networks who facilitate and profit from smuggling tens of thousands of people into the country each year. The British government, under huge political pressure to cut the number of people arriving in small boats from France, said the laws would work alongside other reforms to help them target the gangs behind the trafficking. According to a statement by the Gaza Ministry of Health on Wednesday, the ongoing Israeli military operations in the Gaza Strip had claimed lives of at least 45,936 Palestinians, with over 109,000 individuals reported injured since a new round of conflict reignited on the 7th of October 2023. The statement said 51 people were killed and 78 others were injured due to Israeli attacks only in the past 24 hours. According to reports from the Palestinian official news agency WAFA, or WAFA, Israel conducted multiple airstrikes in Gaza City, targeting downtown and surrounding western areas, resulting in the deaths of 8 people, with several others wounded. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has said it recovered the body of a hostage from a tunnel in southern Gaza. Yusuf al-Ziyadeh, 53-year-old, who was kidnapped during the Hamas attack on Israel on the 7th of October, was found dead in a tunnel in the Rafah area, the Israel Defense Forces have said. The IDF claimed he had been killed in captivity and confirmed that the dead bodies of at least 2 Hamas operatives were found nearby. Will Lebanon finally elect a president after a 2-year vacuum? The country's parliament is set to convene Thursday to attempt to elect a head of the state for the 13th time during a presidential vacuum that's lasted over 2 years now. This time, an analyst said they might succeed. The primary contenders for the presidency include the Lebanese army's commander, Joseph Aoun, who is widely seen as the preferred candidate of the United States and Saudi Arabia. The candidate previously supported by Hezbollah, Suleiman Frangieh, on Wednesday announced he was pulling out of the race and endorsed Aoun. Meanwhile, the Russian military announced on Wednesday that it had attacked Ukrainian ammunition depots, while Ukraine claimed to have hit a Russian oil depot supplying a military airfield. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported Wednesday that the Russian army attacked targets including Ukrainian artillery pieces, ammunition depots, and an electronic warfare base station over the past day. Russian air defense systems shot down multiple HIMARS rockets and over 100 drones from the Ukrainian military. On the same day, in fact, the Russian military continued its operations in the Kursk region, destroying targets such as Ukrainian armored vehicles. With less than 2 weeks to go for President-elect Donald Trump's return to the White House, Washington will send its final tranche of military aid to Kiev. The U.S. is likely to give an additional $500 million in weapons quickly pulled from its existing stockpiles as the Biden administration works to get Kiev in a stronger negotiating position before Trump takes office. Now, the announcement is expected during Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's final trip to meet with the Ukraine Defense Contract Group. Amid China's growing influence in the region, Taiwan's Navy held drills with fast attack missile boats and corvettes, part of 3 days of military exercises as concerns rise over potential cuts to the defense budget. Taiwan currently spends about 2.4% of its GDP, or roughly $20 billion, on the military annually. Now, these annual drills, held in the run-up to the Lunar New Year holiday, are used to reassure the country's population of Taiwan's ability to meet the dragon's threats and boost recruitment.